All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been creating a series of video presentations that are based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. We're currently talking web forms, and so far we've come in and we've talked about the overview, our first form, how to structure a web form, basic native controls, and the HTML5 input controls. So we're about halfway through. Now we're going into the other form controls section right here. So as it says, we now look at the functionality of non-input form elements in a bit of detail. So the first one in here we've already discussed, and that is the text area. The text area has rows and columns. So rows, notice it's 30, so you can see it's going to be high. Columns, it's got 8, so it's going to be more narrow. All right. So it says the main difference between a text area and a regular single line text field is that this is designed for multi-line input. If I do this, if I say, hello, my name is Jeff, that's literally going to take it into a text area and send it as 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 different lines. If I put that into an input, even if I hit the line break, it would change the line breaks basically into just a space. Okay? So, text area also makes a closing tag, and any default text you want to contain should be put between it and the opening tag. Okay. Note that even though you can put anything inside of a text area element, because of its nature, it is all rendered as plain text. Using content editable on non-form controls provides an API for capturing. So if you wanted to be able to add HTML content, like make something bolded or whatever, you could do that. There are reasons to do that. There are also reasons to not do that. Forms can be very suspect. I'll just use that word. And what I mean by that is if you don't put a lot of stuff in here, let's see if I can show you this. I don't know if I can. If these will work, what I'm about to show you or not. So let's see. Let's go to here. All right. And I'm going to put in here I don't know why it's putting everything in an uppercase here. I'm going to go, let's see. Yeah, we'll do it here. That's fine. I'm going to put in here script. And I don't know why it's an uppercase, but it is. And I'm going to put alert. There, now it took it off. So alert, hello. All right, so I'm going to put that in. And I guess I don't have a submit button on here. How about this? Validate the payment. And you'll notice nothing happened. That's a good thing. If I put some JavaScript in there into my form, and if I would have validated it right there, and it would have shown an alert with the word hello in it, that would be a bad thing. That means that I would be able to take JavaScript and put it into my form. Now, you might say, well, big deal. It is a big deal because it would allow people to potentially put malicious JavaScript in that would do things that you're not supposed to be allowed to do. All right. Some of the things that you want if you want to see examples of using text area. All right. I've already mentioned the cols and the rows in there. And as they mentioned, the cols specifies the width. The default, if nothing is specified, is 20, and the rows specifies the height. And if nothing is in there, it defaults as 2. All right, sorry about that. I had a knock on the door. I'm in the office today taping. So we talk cols and we talk rows. There's also a wrap. And as it says, it controls text wrap. The values are soft, which means the text submitted is not wrapped, but the stuff run by the browser is wrapped. All right. Hard And it says if you do that, you must specify the value, which means both the submitted and the rendered, all right, are going to be wrapped and off. So if we look at this, what they're saying is this. So if I come in here into the example that we had, and where was there? Didn't we have a text field? Looks like we don't, or text area. So let's put one in here. So as I've been doing, I'll just throw it down at the bottom here. So I'll put in text area, and I'm going to put in rows equal 10, cols equal 10. All right, text area. All right, so we'll put that in there, come back to here, refresh, and now down at the bottom, there's our text area. So what they're saying is this: now is the time for all good people. Notice how it wrapped. People to come to the aid of their party. Really? All right, so like that. So that's the way that it was set up by default, but what they're saying in here is it did wrap this, okay? Now it says that the stuff, if we had it set to soft, so if we had wrap equals soft, I don't know why we would do that, but we could. All right, so if we put in that, okay, I'm hoping that that is correct. Usually these turn red, and that didn't, but that's fine. And let's come in again. Now is the time for all good people to, it looks like it's still wrapping. Yeah, it looks like it is still wrapping. I've never used the soft or the off or the hard. I just, I don't have them in there, period. So mine always would look like that. All right. Controlling text size, resizability. Says the ability to resize the text area is done by the resize property. You might say, well, what does that mean? Well, look, notice that if I refresh, see that? It is allowing me to do a little bit of resizing. All right. Again, I'm not sure why you would want to use some of this stuff that they talk about, but you could. All right, the drop-down controls. There are some neat ones in here. As it says, they're a simple way to let users select from many different options without taking up much space. There's two forms, the select and the autocomplete. The select one, there's an example. So let's put that one in here. Into our example. Again, let's add a couple of line breaks here. And I don't like the example that they have here. So let's say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Now, a lot of times when you have this and you have it set up like this, what you'll see at the beginning is something like choose your year, something like that. All right, and as you'll see when I refresh, we've got sophomore. Now, I'm surprised it didn't say choose your year like this, but freshman, sophomore, and you can see how we've changed it. All right, I think what I'll do is I'm going to add a couple more line breaks in here. because I want this to stand out and I want you to be able to see what I'm working on here. So that'll allow me to move it up a little bit. There we go. All right. In fact, try to make it even easier. Let's move it up quite a bit. Now we can do that. There you go. All right. The option elements can be nested inside of an op group to create visually associated groups. So in other words, when you look right here, we're indenting, we're typing. So these are fruits, these are vegetables, etc. if you want to do that. If an option element has an explicit value set on it, that value is sent when the form is submitted. All right? So that's the value that's going to be sent, is what they're saying. You can allow, by default, when you use these, it's single select, but you can allow multiple select by using the multiple attribute. All right? So I can click on here and then click on here. Now I've chosen them both. And typically I can hold down on Control and click here and also. So now notice they don't have to be contiguous. All right? In the case of multiple select boxes, as they mentioned there, you'll notice that the select box no longer displays values as drop-down content. They'll look different because you can do that. Autocomplete is a nice one. And again, it's also a thing that a lot of times people like to turn off. All right, you may or may not have noticed, but in some of the stuff, the examples that I gave, let's see, if I start typing in, for example, that the name isn't a good example there, but if I put in JP Scott and I've got their email, and as soon as I put in something, well, I guess it isn't set here. All right, but a lot of times when you've got certain things that are set like this, people like it or don't like it. You can, if autocomplete is set on for a form, if you are testing it, a lot of times I'll leave autocomplete on because it'll basically, as soon as I click in a field, it'll show me the values I put in there before. So as it says, you can provide suggested automatically completed values for form widgets using the data list element with the option. Well, this is a little bit different, but this one's kind of neat. All right, so notice in here, I'm going to give you an example, but when I click in here, you'll see I get the down arrow. But if I only want things with an A in them, that's what I'm going to put in. It should find, one second. All right, sorry about that. We've got an instructor in the other room who's having projection problems, and I at least attempted to help him. All right. So what I was saying, though, is notice that, in fact, let's use, we'll use B. So it should not find apple if I type a B in here, but it should find banana, blackberry, blueberry, and that should be it. So if I put in a B, notice that's what it finds. On the other hand, if I put in an A, it means is there an A in there anywhere? So it finds apple, banana, blackberry, does not find blueberry, does not find lemon, does not find lychee, finds peach, and finds pear. All right, it's kind of nice. Anything you can do typically, again, to enhance the user, the UX experience, the more you do that, the better off you're going to be. Almost all browsers support data list, but there's a fallback if you want to do it with older browsers like below IE10. They give you an example in here with fallback. All right. Browsers with a data list will basically ignore the fallback. All right. Less obvious data list uses, it says according to the spec, the list attribute in the data list can be used on any kind of a widget requiring user input. I would say be real leery with that. All right. It should be intuitive to the user is what I'm saying. All right. Other form features in here. I'd like to finish this up in one tape, but we'll see. So here's a live example. All right. So notice here we've got meter bars. The choose your image I've already shown you. All right. And in here, progress bar, all right, see that? And why would you use these? Well, a lot of times, for example, if you're setting up a fundraising site, this is something that you might have to actually go in and manually check on a regular basis. So if a max was 100% and now you were at 35%, of course, you'd put that in. And then if a week later you were at 50%, you could update it, etc. All right. Meter, as it says, represents a fixed value in a range determined by max and min, usually rendered as a bar as well. All right, there's an example. Support for these two is fairly good. There's no support in IE, but virtually all others will support it. So again, we've now gone through the other controls. And as it says, as you've seen in the last few articles, there's a lot of different types of form element types available. All right. So now that we've gone through your first form, with the intro, your first form, structuring the form, the native controls, the HTML5 controls, and some of the other controls, now we'll look in the next couple, we'll go in and we'll look at styling the form. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go. So we are half done now. So I'll come back with the styling web forms in just a couple minutes.